7th meeting of the Monmouth City Council. Let's call the roll.
Counselor Carey.
Here.
Counselor Johnson.
Here.
Counselor Milligan.
Here.
Counselor Schaefer.
Here.
Counselor Silbernagel.
Here.
Mayor Oberst.
Yep.
And Counselor Guthrie is excused.
All rise for the flag salute, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. The first item tonight is the consent calendar consisting of the minutes from the council meeting and work session from June 16th. If I could have a motion to approve those two sets of minutes.
Second.
Moved and seconded. In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And with that, we will adopt those sets of minutes. Mayor's report and board appointment tonight. I didn't get hold of the young man who wishes to serve, so I'll get that for next time around. My mayor's report simply consists of my annual 4th of July walk, which this year I dragged Councilor Silbernagel along as Scott was unable to make it. We had our usual good time. Lots of kids along the way, excited to see us. They usually are. We had a very low number of horses this year. I think there were 2 little squads of horses, and that was it. So the duty was fairly light, and that left more time to kind of enjoy the walk and enjoy the ride. So Independence for Riders with 2 gators this year, which enabled a little more riding and a little less walking. And it was a warm day, first really good hot day we've had in 5 or 6 years, and it was a nice walk. Always a good time, and I think the community enjoys seeing the mayors and managers, and in this case, the councilor out taking care of business. With that, I'll turn to reports from council reps to boards and commissions. And Councilor Silbernagel.
Okay, Monmouth Senior Center Advisory Board met on June 23rd. We discussed both of the grants that have been funded. So we got the $30,000 Oregon Community Fund grant and the $25,000 Collins Foundation. So it's exciting. We're that much closer to having that project come off the ground. They had a very good 4th of July group there. They seemed to staff the booth really well on the 3rd and the 4th, so they had a good turnout and folks, and were able to answer questions, and so that went well. Their annual business meeting coming up is it's after their potluck on July 10th, and their next breakfast is scheduled for Saturday, August 1st. That's my report.
How short are we of enough to do the expansion of the senior center? And we've got 2 grant applications out for that.
We got 2 out, and I think we're, Scott, maybe you can correct me, but we're about halfway, I think, on that.
We think $70,000, and there's about $180,000 out in requests.
And any notion on when these last 2 agencies might stumble to the finish line?
They're more fluid.
Okay. So there's this kind of an ongoing process rather than a due date kind of thing? Okay.
Yep.
Very good, thank you. Councilor Milligan.
Arts and Culture Commission did not meet again in June, so I have no report.
Councilor Johnson.
The Planning Commission met. We had mainly a training session for all new people on the board and councilor, and we're in the summertime mode now.
What's that?
Means they're not going to meet very often.
Councilor Carey.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the Minnet Board of Directors met on June 25th, and the primary order of business was to review some proposed bylaws, which we've been unable to locate. There are rumors that there are, they do exist, but we can't find them. And to pull together various policies into a policy manual, and then as is common with this sort of group, sort of a code of conduct, for lack of a better term, a means by which we deal with one another. So those 3 things were our primary focus, and then there was a decision that we would not meet this next month in July, current month, but there is planning underway for a board retreat, which we would address with some time, the proposed bylaws, the policy manual, goals, direction, ways to be more helpful to the organization as a board. So anyway, that was the crux of the meeting. Now, I also have for you, and I'm going to hand it out, and really not, I'm not going to go through much of it because it would dominate more time than what we have. Rather, it would be an opportunity for you to take it back and read it. This is and then myself or Scott would be happy to answer any questions. If you got any questions, need to go to the board, to the company as a result of what you see here, either direct or through Scott or myself. This is answers to a series of questions posed by Independence Councilor Forrest Peck. And he had some things that we all sort of recognized as common questions about, Monnet and viability and marketing and how many do we have and what's the cost of service, etc. And so the staff put together that was intended for both the Independence Council and the Monmouth Council. I'm not suggesting that the questions asked here are exhaustive, but I think they are illustrative in terms of what's going on. So I'm simply going to hand this out, and it's more than, again, that we have time today or this at the moment to read through this. But I would ask that you do that. One of the things that we're continually, and if that's going to go to Marshall.
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, we're continuing to try to get the word out. Monnet is under new management is certainly better than it's been. Continues to meet all of its expenses, and there's in effect a profit. Now it's not enough to pay for the entire debt service, but there are a number of things on the horizon that perhaps can get there. So anyway, I just urge you to read this at your leisure, and then we can drill down on any of the details. I've got a few that have come up in my careful read that I'll be dealing with as well.
So this was just a simple questions that he posed to the staff at Monnet?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm not sure exactly the format, but it's not uncommon for the Monnet CEO to make a regular report at the Independence Council. And so a number of things have been bouncing around, and you might recall that we had a little difficulty with our finance committee, the Monnet Finance Committee. And so to try to bring some of this to a head and get some clarity and detail, Forrest asked the question, and the Monnet staff replied in this form.
Okay.
That's it.
This was recent?
Yes, this is week old.
Okay.
Very good, thank you. Are there any community announcements, sir? I won't mention this. Go ahead.
I'd just say that I believe Music in the Park fires up tomorrow.
Yes.
Great time had by all. I'm assuming there'll be a beer garden.
Yep.
Don't you leave that one over there?
I'm the mayor of the beer garden.
Yeah. I noticed.
And I would like to remind everyone that Cycle Oregon will be in town this coming weekend. They'll roll in on Friday. There will be a couple of camping areas on campus. Some folks will stay in the dorm. Friday night we'll see a migration to Main Street Park for music and announcements and more music. And beer garden, yeah. I understand there's a fellow bringing in wood-fired pizza, which is just an amazing product. I've had it before. It's like smoked pizza, an amazing thing. And their first ride will be on Saturday, and they will come back from their ride, and after refueling themselves, they will once again migrate to the park for more music and more announcements and more music, and another beer garden. And Sunday they will have their second ride and then pedal off into the sunset on Sunday evening. So be prepared for lots of cyclists in the area over the weekend. And this marks, I think it's the 4th time, is that right, that Cycle Oregon has come to town, including the inaugural ride of the Willamette Valley Scenic Cycleway. They stopped through town on their way from Champouie to Eugene, and no other city has had them more than twice. So I kind of think they like us, and I know that they spread it around. They go visit Independence too, and they're in our entire community. We'll also see the Bike MS later this summer coming to town. So, you know, we signed up with the Oregon tourism folks to develop a tourism plan for Polk County. And I say we, I mean people in Polk County who are interested in pursuing that. And one of the things that has come out of that is promoting Polk County as a cycling destination. And I think that these Cycle Oregon folks, when they come here, they realize what great roads we have, low traffic volume on most of them, fantastic scenery, fantastic things to do like vineyards and lavender and vineyards. And they also like the wildlife from the various wildlife refuges in the area. And you know, it's a great visit for them. The Polk County tourism folks are doing a really good job on promoting this to the Cycle Oregon people, and so even those who don't come to this ride this weekend are getting filled in on the wonders of our fair county. So seeing bikes and pedestrians on our community visioning process is a potential area of focus. You know, this is all kind of dovetailing together, and I'm excited to have them back again.
I got a couple questions about that Cycle Oregon. First of all, are we, as a Polk County, do we know how many people are coming to the area?
I want to say there are 2,000 this time around.
2,200.
2,200 that's
the
cyclists,
right?
Yeah, and they will bring family with them, and kids who may stay with one parent while the other parent goes out for a ride, and there are kids cycle-oriented activities specifically because of that. And so, you know, I don't know, Jesse, by the time it's all said and done, 3,000 people in town for the weekend that or otherwise wouldn't be here.
Fantastic.
So it really is.
And then the second thing is, do we have any dedicated staff that have, I mean, are they focused on this, or do we have anybody that's working on this with Polk County, or are we just kind of
We coordinate with them, we really don't need to do much. Cycle Oregon knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they
So
take care of it
they
from
just
top to
come in
bottom.
and
Yeah, they just work with us on the key things and they take care of everything.
that's the group I like.
One of the things that was glaring in its absence the last time they were here is we didn't have any recycling bins out in the park. And they are often, I mean, they're pretty conscientious recyclers, many of those. So I would hope that that's one of the things that we could articulate with figuring out how to get some bins in the park.
In the parks in general.
Yeah.
I think we could have a weekend loan of some blue bins from Brant's to station in the park for mixed recycling.
I don't know, we can check, we can look
Yeah.
into that. Yeah, maybe they'd be a little better, our general take, and when we have the general users, it doesn't accomplish anything, because as soon as the wrong thing goes in the recycling, it's contaminated and it has to go.
Right.
So we haven't had very good luck when we try to do it on general events.
Well,
But
signage
we
would
can
help.
try.
Signage would help with that, and I know that's an issue, but I think that we need to be the proactive ones and say, well, you know, 5 years ago, somebody threw a hamburger in here, and that, I mean, and nobody is, but I mean, that, but we need to be proactive.
And like Sam downtown park, they have many different versions from the eco composters.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. And then is smoking in the parks, does that get shut down during events like this?
I would presume the city manager has the
Yeah.
authority to ban smoking in the park for the weekend if he so chooses.
Haven't thought about that.
There's no Smarties.
Smart.
I got contact with a smoking,
Yeah, it's an event.
county character who's came and presented a couple times.
Okay.
He wants to come talk to us again.
All right, very good. Any other community announcements tonight? Manager's report.
Yep. A couple of things, our Monmouth Engage project, we're on the phase where we actually now have people prioritize. The goals, are the 4 goals are identified, and they're doing really well on getting the responses there. Consultants were actually here on July 4th. They actually worked up and down the parade route in the park. They gathered about another 100 on top of that, and we had some in our own booth, so that's going well. They're gonna get those, I think that closes down next week on the responses. They're gonna compile.
So anybody who hasn't done it, you have a duty to go home tonight, go to the city website and fill out your survey.
There you go. And steering committee will meet, I think, the week of the 27th. And then the one thing that was gonna be the last event essentially is we're gonna actually come to the council and present it and have you consider that. And we're actually gonna shift that now and actually make it more into an open community event. So then we can actually take input, figure out, get ideas from different people, recruit people if they have, interest in the certain areas, and kind of make that more of an open, broader event. And then a later date, then we'd have you approve the plan.
So what's your estimate on total number of round 2 surveys that have been completed?
I think they told me like 400 so far.
Okay.
Like, so we had 800 on the first round.
And that includes online responses and so on too? Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
When will the community event, are we looking at September?
No, August.
August.
Either the first or second week of August. So we'll have to just get that coordinated. Yep. Then otherwise, the library had a note. Details here. Actually, on Saturday, they're actually having outdoors writer Grant McComey doing a presentation. Library's trying to really focus a lot more on adult programming, and he's a very, very reputable outdoors writer, TV, radio, print. And so he'll be actually at the library at 6 o'clock on Saturday. And it's actually you have to reserve a spot. So if you're interested, you need to contact the library. There's a limit on how many people they can put in the room. There is wine involved too. So to add extra bonus there. So to get that. Senior Center, just a note on the parade, the Senior Center, even as well as it's used, is how crowded they are. They're still trying to make sure that everybody knows that they're really there. So they were in the parade this year. They've only done that a couple times. They actually had a float in the parade, and then they actually showed up in the park too. So that was nice, getting out and about and getting a lot of visibility on that. Capital projects, a couple things. One of the tanks up on Cupid's Knoll, we're going to get that painted pretty soon. We're about ready to bid that project. And then likewise, we're pretty deep on the planning for the amphitheater to get that going. And then our sidewalk project, which will be across the street, we get that, most of the details pretty much done that. And we thought we'd better not to do that when Cycle Oregon was here. So we waited. I thought that'd be logical. So we get there, and that's about it.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Any other questions for Scott? Okay, turning to citizen comment time. Try to limit to 3 minutes and things that we aren't otherwise having on the agenda. Who's that? Name and city for the record, please.
My name is Terry Richards. I live at 618 Corsair Drive in Independence. I recently received a letter from the city of Monmouth, some back utility bills, and it seems to me that these utility bills go back to the year 2009. I wonder why they haven't been collected and why I'm getting a bill.
Well, I assume that staff has answered that question, but based on my knowledge of this, there's been an ongoing attempt to collect that failed, and as the property owner, you are therefore liable for the cost of the bill.
Now, when was this instituted?
It's been in place for a long time.
Yeah, if you can back up, we actually did we had a little more complicated than that.
Okay.
So what the system was, we actually would generate bills. A lot of times it wasn't paid, there's that in-between period. Sometimes it goes to the landlord, and then you get an in-between bill, and then the new tenant moves in. Our old system, the lovely Vadim system, didn't track that change. So a lot of the bills that weren't paid were essentially just dormant, and we didn't even have the mechanism to go back and actually track them. And so they were actually basically dormant for that time. When the new system was put in place, it now tracks directly. And we went through and said, wow, look at all these bills that were never paid. And so now we're going back and actually trying to get those collected. And in some cases, there's a decent amount. We're working with people on payment plans because it is somewhat of a surprise, but the key level is it was billed and then just was never paid.
And so, are we reaching out to former tenants of rental properties and trying to remind them that they owe us money, or are we going directly?
These are mostly all the landlord-based
Okay,
ones.
straight
Yeah,
property.
it's kind of those gap periods that happen.
So when was this policy? I remember speaking here about that policy that you guys instituted. And I'm wondering what year you did that in, Scott.
Yeah, so the Vadim system would have went in.
When did we have this discussion? Do you guys remember?
It was.
You guys were
9,
here.
10.
You were here.
I'm guessing 8 or 9
8 or
based
9.
on
That far back,
when I was
six,
elected.
7 years ago?
Yeah, and I said like the old utility system just didn't track things properly, we got a new one that does, and so now we're trying to play catch up.
So, my question is, in the last 6 years, you haven't been able to track or contact any of these people? And how
Yes.
come I wasn't notified in this last 6 years?
I think once the initial bill went out, we didn't have a mechanism to go back and find it.
Yeah, but why?
The system was really poor.
I guess,
It was.
yeah. You guys, I tell you, I don't like the idea of paying somebody else's electric bill that's 6 years old. It just doesn't sit right with me. You know, I'm a businessman, I've got 3 businesses. And I sure wouldn't think that this is a good way to do business. I'm ashamed of the way that this is taking place. Utterly ashamed. What's happened here?
And I'd clarify, a lot of these bills aren't the ones that the tenant left. A lot of these are actually directly to the landlords, kind of in that period between tenants. So not all of them are that accountability issue, which, yeah, we had a very thorough discussion about accountability a few years ago.
Isn't there a deposit that's put down to try to recoup some of those funds?
Yeah,
prior
we made some
to a
adjustments. A
set
lot
up
of times,
account?
the deposit isn't big enough, and then there still is some things left. And then, yeah, we have set up a system where it is the responsibility of the landlord if there is a gap.
How long can a customer go without paying their utility bill and still have lights on?
Totally off the top of my head. But you get your billing period. I think there's 2 weeks. You go late.
We're talking 2 to 3 months, right?
Yeah, it's in the realm of 10 weeks, probably 10, 12. You know, and we talked previously about, you know, ways to tighten that. We have better communication in place now, so if that is occurring, that the landlord's got better notice and they can go contact their tenant. And we did a lot of work trying to make adjustments so the communication was a little bit better.
So if a new person would move into a residence, it was, you know, let's say some people moved out of, like, do we have a system that could catch that before someone else could set up a new account on that, at that
Yeah,
residence?
if we have something that's
So it
holding
couldn't
it
have
back.
compounded over and over?
Yeah, we'll actually go basically until the account's cleared out, we can.
So no one, okay.
Yeah.
Scott, do we know the total amount of all of these that slip through the cracks?
It's in the realm of, I think it's around like $55,000. So it's real money.
Before I leave, these people that owe the city money for at least 6 years, have you tracked to see if they moved back into town and see if they owe money?
I don't know.
You don't know, okay.
I'm not that involved in the details on the system.
Well,
Could you look at that, Scott?
I think that should be addressed. I think you should look into it.
Yeah, because somebody might move out, then come back and move into a different address and reestablish an
That's
account.
what I was trying to get to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually had a case of somebody who walked off an account and then bought a house and moved back in and established an account, so.
Yeah, and I think I remember when we switched to the newer system, I think that's one that can be, you know, got at easier. You know, there's all sorts of ways to get around things. There's the multiple tenants and they keep rolling through who's on and everything. But
That was an ongoing problem.
yeah, we have a complicated system here. The volume is intense. We've got the mobility of the students add on top of it. We're a lot more complicated in most places.
Steve, you had something?
Okay.
I'm gonna ask one. Was, in '09 was his bill, is there any record that the landowner was notified and then that the bill was not paid?
Oh, absolutely.
And it was sent to him?
But the bill was sent to who the owner of record was, and it was not paid.
Okay, I'm just asking, is that, any way to check on that? I mean,
That's where we generate the bills from. These are tracked as an unpaid bill.
I know, but I'm just saying, that, did we make sure that the landowner was notified in '09?
Oh, absolutely. A bill was generated. That's what we're tracking. We had
To
a
the
bill.
landlord, not to the renter?
No, to the person that owed the money. And so in this case, some cases would be the landlord got a bill and then it was not paid.
And would it be would it be every month
No,
therefore
that
forward?
didn't happen in my
No, you
case.
got just the
No.
one
Just the-
bill,
Yeah.
and then, yeah, we don't keep doing reminders or something.
No.
You know.
Okay, so, and so Scott, we have cases where a tenant has moved out, left money owing, and our current practice is to make sure that the landlord knows that that money is owing. We try to collect. Sometimes we fail. And in the long run, the property owner is responsible for that bill, because the property is tied to the account. The property owner is sort of the recourse for the bill. And so the question is, these bills that are just coming back around, do we know for a fact on ones that were originally billed to tenants that all the property owners were notified that this money had not been
Yes.
paid and was therefore possible that they were gonna wind up liable for it?
This was a
We couldn't
direct
collect.
billing to the landlord. It wasn't just a notice or anything, it was a direct bill sent to the landlord.
I have another one. How do you know they received the bill?
Well.
Yeah.
I mean, you're
well,
looking at a
there's
collection
There's always
deal.
postal service issues, but the
Okay,
bill
what I'm
went
saying
out.
is,
We
you're
know the
looking at a
bill went
collection
out.
deal. You
Mr.
said
Mayor?
registered mail, you said it something like that? I mean, so that if
We
somebody
have
has
no way
signed
to
it.
count that.
Yeah, well, that,
Yeah.
I mean, I understand their point from 6 years ago,
Mhm.
that we're back trying to collect, and this is the first time they've seen it. And it isn't like somebody left the town.
Well, it may be. There could be a case like that. I think
Yeah,
that'd
well, I'm
be a
just
pretty
saying,
low probability.
that's a long time for the stretch of 6 years.
Yeah, no, we're not proud of that fact. We're not proud that our old
Well, I'm just
software
saying,
system.
but I'm just trying to see how we made sure that landowner
Mhm.
was notified that that bill wasn't paid.
Yeah, I mean, I can verify if you want. I can guarantee that they were.
I'd like to see it.
Okay.
And you said you are working with these folks?
Yeah,
as you
I mean,
can,
yeah,
and-
because we know that this is
Right.
where this came from. I mean,
Okay.
we're very aware of that.
Okay.
It's not like we think this is
Back.
enjoyable or fun.
You know, if I get a notice to pay a bill, I'm gonna pay it. I have an excellent credit score. I've been in business for decades. If I'd have gotten a bill from the city that they could not pay, the renter could not pay, I would have paid it. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
Well, let's-
and like in a specific case with Terry, we can verify that. Maybe there was a quirk or
Let's
something.
step back and
you know.
do a little bit more digging on some information, Scott, and we'll
Yeah.
come back around to this when you have pulled together some things for us, just to make sure.
Sure.
Okay, Terry, thanks.
Thanks, Terry.
Okay.
Okay. Who's next?
Sorry, Don.
Name and, name and, city for the record.
Before I start, I want to make sure that the council knows that I appreciate that you're all volunteers. Now, I'm also aware that the resolution reducing the electric utility rates are in place. So before I begin my tirade, I'll let you know that much at least. My name is Don Barry. I live at 136 Heffley Street, South Monmouth. I've lived in the community for 52 of my 79 years. I've worked here, I've volunteered here, I have an excellent reputation. Once again, I feel obligated to question why Monmouth continues, once again, I feel obligated to question why Monmouth continues to require landlords pay any irresponsible residents unpaid utility bills, while council sees fit and obligated to fund and loan monies to departments and programs not in the water, sewer, and electric purview. I assume the city now maintains a written portfolio that clearly outlines to city employees how electric, water, and sewer business is to be conducted. If there is not a comprehensive written plan in place, I would encourage council to direct the city manager and his very competent staff to complete a written procedure plan and present it to the council for approval. As a result of earlier testimony, the amount of deposits, billing notices, and other procedures practiced by Monmouth utilities were lightly addressed and slightly modified. Unfortunately, Monmouth utility business practices continue to unjustly bloat its contingency and operating funds while using utility contingency funds to financially bail out underfunded departments and to support pet programs that have nothing to do with utilities. Funding anything that is not a utility is, in my opinion, unethical, if not illegal, and it uses a cash cow. This use of a cash cow needs to be stopped. The mayor in his June utility bill insert extolling a 3% decrease in future electric billings and signage used in the 4th of July parade only masks a bloated utility fund fattened by illogical business practices. A present council member in an earlier testimony declared to me that utility business practices are the cost of doing business. I beg to differ. Monmouth supplies utilities to two distinct groups of residents. Owner-occupied residents contract with Monmouth Utilities for services. Owner-occupied properties act as collateral for payment. A second group consisting of highly mobile residents occupy units at the expense of owners. The utility contract is between the tenant and the city, not the tenant and the landlord. If a tenant falls on hard times and are late with rent, owner decisions are the cost of doing business. Tenants that move out owing rent, leaving broken windows, broken doors, pet poop piles, marred walls, broken fixtures, a myriad of other problems needing to be addressed is the business person's cost of doing business. Monmouth Utilities, on the other hand, decides how much deposit to charge mobile residents. Monmouth Utilities decide on late fee charges, the number of days before termination of utilities, and all related procedures it will follow, including procedures to collect non-payment of utility bills that are in-house decisions. Unfortunately, that's my 3 minutes. I have 3 more minutes, but I'll come back again if that's what the council wants.
You could submit it written, Don, and we'll make sure to read it.
I'm sorry?
Submit it as written, and we will read it, make sure Phyllis gets a copy.
My name is Peyton Llewellyn, and I live at 262 South Monmouth Avenue. I'm signed up on that.
Just a second,
Yeah,
Peyton.
I yield my 3 minutes to Mr. Berry so he can finish.
Do you want to take his 3 minutes, Don?
It's 18 seconds short of 3 minutes.
It is unusual, but go for it.
Okay, there's a 3-minute timer. Owners pay no part in Monmouth Utilities' ongoing decisions relating to non-owner occupied residents. Let me enlighten council on my latest Monmouth Utility landlord-tenant epic. It involves a tenant who after 6 years falls on hard times, and at a time I am on extended vacation. After 3 months, I try to resolve the problem unsuccessfully, so must begin required legal, costly, time-consuming maneuvers to remove the tenant. During the legal process, Monmouth Utilities sends the tenant a utility bill for $367. 6 weeks pass. Monmouth sends a termination notice to the tenant and the landlord. Meanwhile, another month's services are underway. The tenant convinces a charitable organization of her plight. The charitable organization sends the utility department a check, and the check is applied to the tenant's bill. A new wrinkle enters the picture. The credit is applied to the electricity, but not sewer. Now the tenant, while eviction and costly lengthy legal proceedings are underway, continues to occupy the unit with provided electricity, but no water. The tenant resides at the unit for 6 weeks with no water. During the eviction process, another electric turnoff notice arrives stating the tenant now owes $418. Checking with the city, I am dumbfounded to find that the updated bill is now $482, and there are still 2 more weeks to be accounted for. Now the tenant owes the landlord 6 months' rent. It'll take at least a month to repair the damage, and utilities are owed in excess of $500. I shudder to think what expenses will occur as a result of Oregon's cannabis law. Next, the letter is sent to the tenant at her previous address, an address she left owing 6 months' rent. When she doesn't pay, the city tacks $84 to the deficit bill. and turns the bill over to a collection agency. When the bill is not paid, the city bills the landlord with tenant late fees included and makes threats. That is not and should not be landlord's cost of doing business. If the city has enough utility funds to loan Minnet, amphitheater construction, community development projects, police construction shortfalls, and any other great idea that comes along, then the Monmouth utility monopoly should have enough money to cover its own expenses. And that should be the Monmouth business cost of doing business. I have 12 more seconds.
Thanks, Tom.
Mr. Mayor, council members, city manager, my name is Don Ediger, live on Mickey Lane here in Monmouth. I'd like to share a few comments this evening for later on when you are in your work session for consideration of the old police station. I'm a member of New Life Ministries. We've been meeting at Ash Creek Elementary School for the last 5.5 years, and I think we have a stellar history with them as far as paying our bills and working together with them. With the school system going to full-time kindergarten this next year, they're changing a lot of their policies. We've been basically moved over to Henry Hill over in Independence. We're looking for a place that we can call home, and at least for the next couple of years. And so the Monmouth Police Station, we've looked at that, and we have some interest in that, and we'd be very interested in sitting down and negotiating some kind of a lease for a 2-year. We would come in, and we have the ability to, at no cost to the city, do the renovation that we needed in there and upgrade. And it also gives the council a 2-year period to decide, do we want to keep this building or don't we? You know, it's maybe not a good decision to make right immediately after it's vacated. 2 years isn't a real long time. And so we have the ability to come in there and I think do a good job in modifying it that would add value to it. After that 2-year period of time, it would be in the city's interest as far as what you'd want to do with it at that time. So I just wanted to tell you that for your considerations on whether to sell or to lease or that type of thing. So appreciate your time.
Thank you.
You have to kind of run up here and grab a seat.
Name and city for the record, please.
My name is Victoria Ray, and I live in Monmouth. Good evening, members of the council. My name is Victoria Ray, and I am in my 5th week of living in this lovely and friendly town. I rise to address 2 issues. The first issue is to lend my voice in support of all public access areas within the city of Monmouth becoming Wi-Fi enabled. Because I am sure this is an issue that you are considering, simply count me as one in strong support. The second issue is that of the stray feline or irresponsible feline owners within the city. I have reviewed the ordinance relating to animals within the city of Monmouth, and it appears to have a date of 2011. Within the provisions, there is nothing relating to the licensing, spay, or neutering of felines. I don't need to go into cat scratch disease, finding cat poop as you dig in your garden, or the wailing of spayed and unspayed felines to get my point across. I will simply encourage each of you to consider amending the regulation to include spay, neutering, licensing, and microchipping of felines. Thank you for your time.
I'm Marlene Richards, and I live in West Salem, Oregon, and have properties in Monmouth. And I too am going to talk about the bills that I received last week. In an envelope, I got 4 bills in one envelope, 2 of which were from 2008 and one from 2011, and one that was valid and current. And my concern was there was no cover letter, no nothing with these bills, had no information on the bill as to what they were, what time period, my husband came down to the office on Monday to find out what they were for, got the invoices, and 2 of the 3 were not correct bills that we were billed. So there are a number of issues, it appears, that are going on with the billings, and these are for properties that belong to my father-in-law. He is now deceased, and we are dealing with the properties, and these are bills we had never got a notice on in the 2.5 years that we have been overseeing the properties. And I'm just concerned that whether or not they are valid bills, I don't intend to pay them until I get an answer that makes sense. And my husband came down and was informed that the bills have been mailed out on a monthly basis, and he said, we've been getting the mail for the last 2.5 years for my father-in-law who's deceased. We've never gotten a bill ever on these past due bills. So I would like to have a little more clarity before I pay these bills. So that's my concern, and we didn't really get satisfaction in coming into the Monmouth office to get answers about the questions we had. So that is an issue too. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question before you take off. So you basically just received a bill, an invoice for service.
4 bills in one envelope. Here's
4 bills in one envelope,
Yes.
with no cover letter.
No.
Nor explanation. Were there dates indicating the service for which you're being billed?
On the original bill that we received, it had service from 5/31/15 to 6/30/15, but when we got the invoice, it was from July 2008 to August 2008. So we couldn't tell from the original bill what it was even for. So it caused all sorts of confusion at our house.
I'm on right now.
So and so then when he came back with the bills, and I look at 2 of them and they aren't even correct.
What's wrong about
They crossed out and said, oh no, this was paid and this was paid on bills that we were supposed to be paying. So, and it's in the handwriting of the person at Monmouth on 2 of them. One of them was the 2011 bill and one was the 2008 bill. And the other 2008 bill, I guess, is correct.
But you're just
you're
just assuming that it's correct.
I don't know.
But you
I
have no reason
idea.
to. Yeah.
I
Okay.
mean, these are bills that I know nothing about, and I know that having been involved in my father-in-law's finances, that he paid his bills, and we have records of that. We had, so this is not. It just seems odd that there would be 2 bills out of all of the City of Monmouth bills that he paid over the years that he chose not to pay. I don't think that's true. And I don't know that he ever got a notice for them. No evidence of that, and we certainly did not. And I would have thought after 7 years, either the property would have been liened or something would have happened as an action towards not paying that bill. So I have a hard time believing that that this is accurate somehow, that maybe it's a computer malfunction or some,
From the sounds of what Scott said earlier, we had some
there's
billing
a
software.
number of issues.
Yeah, that we have just replaced, and
Okay.
it was during the replacement. It's almost like we pulled the desk out from the wall and found some paper that slipped off the back edge, so.
Yeah, and I'm kind of thinking that I shouldn't be responsible for those bills from years and years ago. So that's my concern and complaint, and I've registered that, and I hope to hear something that makes sense going forward.
you said that you collected all mail for 2.5 years for this piece of property that belonged to your father-in-law.
Yes,
And there was not one bill in there at all pertaining to these, right?
no,
For 2.5 years.
right. Not one bill. And it sounded to me, if I understood you correctly, only one bill is sent at the time of the issue.
I think so, and I have
And
to
if
verify
that's,
that.
that doesn't seem
Yeah.
like it makes sense to me either. You know, if you wanna collect something, you would need to at least send 2 or 3 bills and then a really urgent kind of letter.
And it
And
sounds
the-
like
You
the
know?
computer dropped that ball for us.
It did, and I'm not the expert in this area, but I think what happened in a lot of these accounts was the bill went out, and so then when a new tenant moved in, then basically that one just went dormant. It was ghosted almost, because the new tenant went in there, that activated the account for that place, and then that one just sat there just dormant. And then we wouldn't rebill again because it says this account, this address is being taken care of. And then so it's just sitting there. I mean, the old system was really bad.
So there is a problem.
You know. There was a problem, absolutely, and now we're trying to catch up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there may still be.
And we might still have some issues.
Okay.
And Scott, maybe we need to spend some time on this as a council at work session to kind of get a better understanding of what
Yeah, we
happened.
can lay out kind of the basics of,
Right.
you know, what the issue was, kind of went through it, and we can get a report to you,
Right.
you know.
Okay, very good.
Thank you for
Thank
listening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Scott, is there any way we get a full report on where we're at on the finance, implementing that into working order? And I keep hearing we're almost there, things are happening. So, I mean, is there any way we can find out exactly where we're at and where
With the new software.
So we can
Yeah.
be prepared for.
Yeah, and I think the basic on the utility billing side, they're getting a little more comfortable. This was a smoother disconnection process we've been through today. The big gap we have is all your core accounting, your real back office, what goes into an audit, the reports. We haven't been able to touch that at all. I mean, we don't even have an ability to get in there. We're still, we're really behind. There's a lot of stress in that department right now.
Do we need a temporary pair of hands?
Possibly, it's hard to
Okay.
find, hard to get the
Yeah,
people.
understood.
You know, we're running short-staffed at the moment on top of that.
Okay, anyone else? For a citizen comment? Marilyn, does those eyebrows up mean a yes from you?
Yes, please.
Okay, which hat are you wearing tonight? Be sure you tell us your name and city for the record.
My name is Marilyn Morton. I live at 1312 B Street in Independence, and I'm here as an independent city councilor.
Okay.
And I was here last month, and we had a discussion about the possibility of having a joint council work session. Your council approved that by consensus and was given an okey dokey on the place to have it at or near the fire station. And I was tasked with taking that back to my council and seeing how it went with them. And the next Tuesday, I was at my council, I brought it up in council, and I got 100% consensus from the councilors. And the date that we are looking at that was discussed here before is the next fifth Tuesday, a date on which neither one of us would meet. And that would be Tuesday, I believe it's the 29th of September.
So you're taking away our fifth Tuesday, is this what you're saying?
That's what I'm telling you for this time,
Okay.
but not without your permission to do so.
Right, and so council will know, and Marilyn, I obviously had an opportunity to chat with Mayor McArdle on Saturday during our walk, and we're trying to work out a date where the two of us can sit down and chat a little bit more about this, but I think both of us are, excited about the prospects of putting something together, so.
I am too, and
Right.
I will, unless I'm appointed officially to do so, I would be very pleased to serve in the unofficial capacity of liaison from our council to yours.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you.
Anyone else? And seeing none, I will move on to the business agenda, which starts with a code publishing presentation. I bet that's,
Which has been canceled
okay.
Oh.
due to
Couldn't get
equipment failure.
Wow. So, can you tell me what's up?
We're missing a cord for the projector,
Oh, okay.
basically.
Missing cord. Okay, and with that, we'll turn to board and commissions reappointments. Council, you all got a list in your packet of folks who are currently serving on boards and commissions, and They requested reappointment. I dropped a note to Scott and Phyllis because I didn't see this list ahead of time. Now, mind you, in 8.5 years, I have never failed to appoint someone who asked for an appointment to a board or commission, or a reappointment for that matter. But you know, in this past year or so, I requested that that appointments come to me first before you know, they come to council as a whole. It is the one power the mayor has, the power of appointment. I felt like it was important to the mayor, and this is not for me, this is for future mayors as much as anything, get a chance to look at these first. And I feel that that's an important step going forward, and I would like to maybe even tighten up our process a little bit, since we're on July 7th and we're reappointing people whose terms expired on the 30th. And Phyllis has expressed that one of the problems she has, she sends out a letter to people whose terms are coming to an end and they don't answer. And I think that if we put a process in place that said, I'm just going to pull some dates out of the air, on the 1st of June we send out letters that request a response by the 14th. And if a response is not received, either in the affirmative or the negatory, we assume that they do not want reappointment. And instead of trying to chase people down, and just say, you know, put it on these boards and commission members that they need to be a little more proactive. Give the mayor an opportunity, and it may be that it needs to get shoved back a little farther so that at the second meeting in June, the mayor can make reappointments. And I would just, you know, request going forward, again, this won't really matter until next spring.
So the only thing we're currently doing is sending an email to these folks?
No, I send letters to them. I sent them late this year because I missed my date. I usually send them a couple months ahead of time, and not everybody gets back to me.
And that's been the problem year after year, is you request responses and you don't get one, and so then you have to call people or email them.
And then I email them and call them and say, are you gonna re-up?
And so I'm suggesting that if somebody doesn't take the time to simply send Phyllis an email or give her a phone call to say, yes, I'd like to be reappointed, that we're gonna make an assumption that they don't. And make it very clear in Phyllis's letter that that's the process, so.
Yeah, the effect of that would be you'll be losing members.
I was going to say,
I'm sure
not
we
too
would,
sure
Scott,
that's
for a
what
year
your
or
goal is.
two.
Right now, the hand holding and the little extra service, which is very proactive and very nice, keeps our boards and commissions staffed. If you go that route, we're gonna miss some people.
And so here's the reality. Somebody doesn't make the reappointment list, so then they fill out the usual form and request appointment back to their board or commission. It's really not, it's simply putting a little bit of responsibility on people.
I'm just saying they might.
Right.
You're gonna lose some people. And I guess if that's an acceptable effect, you can go there, but I really think you're gonna lose some people.
Okay. So, you know, and this isn't a decision that has to be made tonight, I just wanted to put that out there, that I think our process needs a little tweaking on this, because this has been an ongoing issue every year. And maybe we give people 2 letters worth of reminders that they need to take care of this. I don't know, but something needs to tighten this up just a little bit. So with that, I would like to recommend to council that we reappoint the 9 folks who have asked for reappointment. Aaron Marr and Travis Mewison to Arts and Culture, Lori Albert, Marion Fitz, Michael Schaus to Historic Commission, Janice Ward and Jean Dean, Marilyn Blankenheim to the Senior Advisory Board, and Lori Albert to the Tree Advisory Board. And if I could have a motion to approve those appointments, I'd appreciate it.
Make the motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded, in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, let's reappoint those folks. And
Well, you want to make, I'm not worth calling it, but while you're on this deal here, what we
that's fine.
afterwards, we, as the 2 commissions have been on historic, we personally handed out the letters, personally asked the people there, most of them filled it out at the meeting, and to be, to reappointed. That's probably one way to do it, right at the meeting, right there in front of everybody. And
ask the staff liaison to.
Right, and that's what we did. But hand the letters directly to them and ask them if they wanted to be reappointed, to sign them and hand them back right then.
That's good.
And that was, you're out in the meeting, and if and one said no, they didn't want to be reappointed, and the other 3 said yes, and
Sure.
got the letters to.
Okay.
So that, I'm just saying, that's one way that as we as, from the city council can
Right.
present those letters and
Okay.
say, are you really interested? And we don't have to be kind of
Right.
shoving them off the door or
Yes.
something else.
That's good.
I still had to track one of those 3 people down,
Yeah.
honestly.
I know, but I'm just saying that was one way to be up front though and try to
Right.
get them.
Right.
I'd like to make a comment as well on this. It baffles me that we would be trying to make it harder, or let's say they make it, I don't know, make it even a possibility that we're going to possibly kick someone off a board just because they didn't respond to a letter after a month. Some people don't get them. I've missed an email, I've missed a letter time or two. We're encouraging citizen
Yeah.
involvement as much as possible.
And I would like to encourage responsibility, Jesse, that's all.
And, I mean, we've got an engagement project going on, we're always looking for members, so I mean.
No, I know. I
think
agree.
we need to go out of our way to help people be on our boards and support the people that are willing to be there.
Then let's take my recommendation, Jesse, and change it. I don't care, but I think that there needs to be a little bit of a sense of responsibility on people. You're serving on a board and you're asked if you want to stay, respond. That's all, you know. A phone call or an email is all it takes. I just would like to see, take a look. We hear we don't have sufficient staff time, and we're asking Phyllis to handhold people into saying yes or no.
Isn't there a process to remove someone from
Yeah.
a board already?
Yeah, yeah. So, anyway, I just would like to not, you know, I feel like something needs to change just a little. And then finally, on the business agenda tonight, the first reading of the revised poultry ordinance.
Did we vote?
No, oh yeah, we did on boards and commissions. I asked for a motion and
A second.
yeah, and I said in favor, and I heard a bunch of yes.
Okay.
You want to add your
I
name to the
did-
list?
Yes, I didn't, I did not. Here,
Okay.
so.
John would like to add his name to the list, Phil.
Okay.
Okay. And so, first reading of the revised poultry ordinance, and just so those of you who are here are aware, we had a request to add ducks to the chickens. And so we asked Lane to work us up a modification to the chicken ordinance to allow ducks and spell out what a duck is. And with that, I will read by title this ordinance for the first reading. We'll come back next time with a second reading and a vote. And this will be an ordinance amending the Monmouth City Code, section 6.05.045, relating to the maintaining of poultry in certain zones.
And this is the same as the draft that you saw 3 weeks ago, so
Right.
no change.
So, okay, any council comments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. At the last meeting, there was some discussion, and Marilyn Morton from the Independent City Council came and identified a problem that the students had identified, or relayed a problem that the students at Central High School had identified, in that Monmouth has one sort of curfew for minors and Independence has another. I volunteered to work with Marilyn on that, and so, and this is what I was trying to remember yesterday, Scott, when we were talking. I wonder if we could put on the work session for next time a discussion of this, and my suggestion would be is that we pull our code as it relates to curfew, and I have a copy and it's readily available, I'm sure, Independence, and then we can sort of look to see if there's any merging, if we're interested in what they've got, or I'm sure they have ideas that we may wish to include or perhaps not. And then, once we have that, I think we can begin to articulate with Independence, and I would assume that they'll be doing something similar. So we can at least have the discussion.
Yeah, we could do that. I throw out an alternative. You could also have the 2 police chiefs sit down and they could probably cut through and then make a recommendation. Either way you want to do it.
If that would be quicker.
That would be another source of information. I
Yeah.
don't see any reason that.
I mean, ultimately, the councils will have to, but
That's
a darn good source
Yeah,
right
it's
there.
just, it's the people that have to implement or the ones that have to legislate.
Right.
So
I'm okay with
maybe
that.
you could ask, we've got a couple of weeks here, see if the chiefs could have a conversation and
Yeah, and they
just
could
give us a
maybe
brief
think about
report
making
on what,
reports back to
Yeah.
her.
what they see
Good
as
idea.
a workable solution to try to
Yeah.
make these 2 ordinances be a little bit more in parallel.
Yeah.
And as I understand it, ours basically says if you're under this age and you're out past this hour, you're in violation, and theirs has age break points and different hours, and so the police have basically said if you're out after midnight, you're in problem, but that's not exactly what the ordinance says, so. And how do your, Marilyn, how do your officers feel about their current ordinance? Do they wish it was simplified, or what, do you get any input from there?
The one word that came up repeatedly was confusing.
Okay.
And having read it, I would concur. They've made an excellent analysis.
Okay, very good. Very good.
The night court was pretty tough too.
Okay. Any council comments? Yeah, John. And with that, I would ask for a motion to adjourn to work session.
I move adjourned.
In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And with that, let's take a 5-minute break.